in the last 2020, 22.
I know. Okay. All right.
Oof.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
It's
Happy Monday,
Monday.
everybody. I look forward to Mondays because of this show. I do.
Monday.
I know.
I had a long weekend, so hello Monday.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Vanna, yes, we are here. This is our last episode of the year, which is insane. Like we've been doing this for I don't know how many weeks. Um,
I don't know. It's been more than a month. I think it's
yeah, it has. We started.
oh,
You say our first show maybe was on Halloween or
okay.
sometime around there.
Well,
So
it's been a minute.
we
Yeah,
got we got some numbers.
we've been rolling.
We got some numbers and
Shout
shout
out to
out. We got
Monday
some
live.
folks. We got some folks watching us live. Please feel free. Holler at us. Let us know who you are, where you representing, and also if you have any questions for our special guests.
I
Super
like special
excited. Um, I think we've had some great conversations, I think, these past several weeks. And just yeah, we in
highlighted a lot. I mean,
we
there was a lot to highlight.
there was a lot. There was a lot going on in
There's
those few
still a
weeks.
lot, and there's still a lot going on.
Yeah, and
Right
so but
after 2023, it's gonna be crazy out here.
it's gonna be great. But I think that we are with 2022, we are ending it with a bang. You know what I'm saying, with having this conversation. So I know the people that check for us know, we talk about local government all day, every day. Um, However, we're doing something a little bit different tonight. Um,
This is on
so
a bigger scale, y'all.
I mean, so again, our focus is on the local level because yeah. Um,
We
but
gotta start somewhere.
for a lot of reasons, yes, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's where my focus lies. However, obviously, all levels of government impact our communities and our day to day, especially at the state level. And we joke around, call ourselves, you know what I'm saying, state of misery, Missouri, yeah. But I'm really excited for us to have this conversation with someone that fights for us. You know what I'm saying? He be representing in Jefferson City for the cause. So I will have to introduce. You ready? You ready, Vanna? You ready? Are the people out there ready? Drum roll. I know. So without further ado, to close out this awesome year, we have our special guest, the one, the only, State Senator Brian Williams. Welcome. Welcome.
Y'all look, y'all over here got me ready to turn up. We gonna kick it tonight.
Oh, we turning up. Okay, I win it. That's my energy.
Man, I love it. I'm
We
loving
have
the energy.
to. We
I'm
have
loving the energy.
My
to.
energy. Turn up, turn up, turn up.
Please. And then they're gonna have
I was
to.
just telling Kelly, this camera y'all got y'all guests looking good and everything. Like this is love. I appreciate it. Cause you never know what the angle is gonna be like. So I appreciate that. I
You
appreciate it.
know, yeah.
First impression is everything.
Yes.
Okay. And that's real because there might be some people out here who don't know who you are. That's
Yeah.
viewing. So I would like to give you the opportunity to explain people who you are. We know you are the state representative, the state senator. I'm sorry. Let me check myself and give your credentials to you. Senator. So tell people how because you've been in that seat for a while as well, right? It's not your first term. So just tell people a little bit more about who you are.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first, you are correct. I want to thank both of you for having me on. It's so important for the community to hear about not only what's happening in government, but really what they elected officials are doing for them. As I wasn't always a state senator. I grew up in St. Louis. Grew up in a community called Ferguson, and oldest child of a single mom. My mom is 19 years older than me, and to this day, she still remains my hero. She taught me pretty much everything I know. Do the best that I could, do the best that I could where I could, and that ultimately led me to wanting to pursue a career in public service. And it's kind of crazy how it all happened because I found myself complaining about government and politicians and everything else that everyday folks do. And I was talking to my grandmother, and my grandmother is pretty much the matriarch of our family. She was very supportive, clearly, to my mom, who was single um, as a parent. And she spent the majority of her career advocating for women and people of color to advance in the workforce. And she retired from Chrysler as an auto worker. And I remember one day talking to her, and I'm complaining, and I'm saying, this is what's wrong with the world, and this is what's wrong in our community. And after I finished kind of venting to her, she got up, and before she walked away, she looked at me and said, "Do something about it." And I anticipated her, you know, consoling me and, agreeing with me and continuing to vent with me, but she didn't do that. And then she gave me a poem a couple days later by Theodore Roosevelt called "A Man in the Arena." And basically what that said was, it's easy to criticize people from the sideline. And if you feel like you could do better, then get in the game. It's real easy to say LeBron's not the GOAT if you ain't never played in the NBA. So that led me to running for office. I ran against some really good people who were state representatives. I had never held office, and was fortunate to win, and became the first Black man in 2 decades to be elected to the upper chamber in the Missouri General Assembly. And I've been there now for 4 years, and I was reelected this year.
Great. So thank you for introducing yourself to folks that may not be familiar with who you are. And before we get into anything else, can you tell us, like, I mean, we know you represent all of Missourians, okay? Point blank, period. However, can you break down what districts, the 14th district, that's who you represent, but can you let us know kind of what municipalities, what does that consist of?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 14th Senatorial District on the south goes from communities like University City, Olivet, and then we go north through the airport, through communities like Ferguson, north of Hazelwood and Florissant, right to the Missouri River. So that's 36 municipalities, communities like Normandy. I have some of the wealthiest communities in the state, but also some of the more poverty-stricken ones. Um, some of them, I mean, just the scope is unprecedented, and I like to consider it the model for the state because, again, it reflects pretty much everybody in it. If you were to drive up I-170 from Highway 40 to Ameristar Casino, that takes you right through the middle of the district. So I'm sure you got plenty of listeners that live at some point in my district or still do.
Yeah, that is you have a very diverse district, that's for sure. And I really wanted people out there to understand that, which is interesting, it has its challenges, but I do think that is kind of a microcosm of, like, our country and our state. So I think that's very interesting that you have to balance that. So before we get into some of your work in this last session, can you just tell us, like, because you're a legislator, right? So can you break down what does that really mean? Like, what do you be doing in Jefferson City, bruh? I mean, state
Yeah.
senator, okay, 4 years, okay. But what do you really do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. One thing I always encourage listeners to do, take time to really ask your elected officials, what have you done for me lately? And my family, my grandmother, people close to me, they still hold me accountable in that capacity. What have you done? Like, what did you do this year? What have you done to make my life better? What have you done to enhance the quality of life for people in underserved and disenfranchised communities? And that's been something that's been a priority for me. In the first 4 years that I've been in elected office in the Missouri Senate, I've been able to pass a comprehensive criminal justice reform bill, which has been the first time that we've seen anything addressing police accountability since the death of Michael Brown. Within that bill that I sponsored and passed and got to the governor's desk, which is now into law, we were able to ban chokeholds. We were able to create one of the strongest use of force databases in the country. We provided sanitary products for women that are incarcerated. We changed the expungement law, which at one point in time, to have your record cleared, and I want to be clear about expungement for those who don't know what that process means. Folks in our community, including ourselves, all make mistakes. And those mistakes shouldn't follow you for the rest of your life. So if someone was to make a mistake in Missouri and get a misdemeanor or felony charge or arrest on their record, at one point in time before passing this bill, it would take 7 years after getting off supervised release or probation before you would be eligible for an expungement. We lowered that for a felony nonviolent offense from 7 years to 3 years. And for a misdemeanor offense, it was 3 years after you got off probation. We lowered that from 3 years to 1 year. And then we also wanted to enhance the relationship between law enforcement and communities that they serve. So not only did we want to hold this subculture of bad police officers that tainted the profession, we wanted to make sure that we gave law enforcement the tools to be able to build the trust in the community. I always remind folks that, my uncle, who drives me now, retired from the police department after 33 years. And if you notice, that's a very like random number, right? It's not 35, it's not 30. And the reason why is because my family was terrified whether or not he'll make it home safe at night. So it wasn't lost on me that being a police officer or being a member of law enforcement is a high stress, dangerous job. So we added provisions that allowed us to do away with the execution of a warrant arrest. That means basically, if you get pulled over driving through the neighborhood, and yeah, sometimes we have expired license plates, and you got your kids in the car, you got a family member in the car, and you just might be just poor. You can't pay the fine. That officer by law does not have to arrest you. They can say, hey, Senator Williams, your license plates is expired. You need to get that taken care of because next time it might not be that easy. And I'm like, all right, thank you, officer. Now I got time to try to get that fixed and not have to worry about going to jail.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So is that at the discretion of the officer?
It's at the discretion of the officer, but at one
Okay.
point in time, it was an officer was required by law to arrest you if you had a warrant.
No, I just want to
So
make sure people understood that. So
yeah, absolutely.
gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, clearly, if you got a lot of stuff going on, and it's not a minor situation, they do have to use their discretion. And then one of um, the most significant provisions that we added is a provision called a motion to vacate, which would basically allow local prosecutors to provide evidence to reopen a case to determine whether or not somebody who had been sent to prison was wrongfully convicted of a crime. And that provision that we added in the criminal justice reform bill that I sponsored and passed freed a gentleman in Kansas City named Kevin Strickland, who had been in prison for 43 years for a crime he did not commit. And that same provision has been used here locally in St. Louis in hope in 10 days to free a gentleman named Lamar Johnson, who has been in prison close to 30 years for a crime that evidence has shown that he may not have committed. So we're very proud of that legislation that we was able to get done. For me, it was a really important moment because I remember talking to members of law enforcement and people from all over the state, colleagues that clearly don't come from communities like the ones that we do. And they asked me, they said, Senator, why is this so important to you? And I remember very clearly saying, because George Floyd and Michael Brown and Kevin Strickland, Lamar Johnson, those gentlemen could have easily been me. And that was the first time that I believe that people that I serve with and work with who may not have ever experienced that before actually had an opportunity to humanize an issue that has been divisive for as long as I can remember.
Wow. That's a lot. Uh so shout out to you and others that were part of that process in getting that across the finish line, because I mean those are quite a few provisions in there that I know a lot of folks advocates speak about all the time in our community when it comes to just making sure our folks were treated fairly across the board, especially in that expungement, some of that those efforts too. That's huge. So I kind of do have an overall question for you. And then we're going to get into the fun. I shouldn't say fun, but something I'm excited for you to share about as far as what you have shaken this
Okay.
upcoming session. But I was listening to some interview you gave speaking to some of your priorities in this upcoming session, and we talk about this all the time. We joke about it, and we shouldn't, but sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. And so we talk about how like it can be very challenging working in a state legislature when the opposing party, you know what I'm saying, has a super majority. So
Yeah, for sure.
I guess I'm just curious if you could speak to whether it's this, you know, the particular bill we were talking about, or just in general, like how do you work with folks to get bills across the line when those differences are so great? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. First, so your listeners understand, a super majority Republican legislature means that there is probably, arguably, maybe 3 to 4 Republicans for every one Democrat. So not only as Democrats, we're severely outnumbered. It's virtually impossible for us to pass any type of legislation or do anything without support of the Republican Party. So everything has to be done in a bipartisan fashion. For me, we've been very successful, and it's been solely because of one thing. Uh, when I went up there, I think about my mom who had to work 2 jobs to support us. And I can assure you, she worked with people she didn't like. And if my mom and everyday people in our community, people that have never walked the halls of the Missouri Senate, can work with people they don't like and still do their job at a high level, politicians should not be exempt from that. Government should not be exempt from that. So when I walk in the room with people, I'm thinking about, how do I best serve and advocate for my community? How do I ensure that Black people have access? And if that means that I got to go in the room and strategically work with people that I may not like or may not agree with in order to get things for my community, I'm going to do that every single day. And sometimes you got to put your ego to the side. Sometimes you got to walk in the room and understand, as a Black leader, I have to be 3 times, 4 times, 5 times prepared and know what I'm talking about. I can't afford to have an off day. And that's before you start talking about the devil and the enemy that's supposed to be on your side. I'm
Mm.
just keeping it real.
Man, you speaking a word.
So,
Like,
You
drop
speaking
the mic. I
yes,
think this
speaking the
interview is
words of
over.
we are
so,
preaching on this here Monday night. All right now.
I
so
think
you
that's a
gotta
trickle
you
down
gotta
to
work
some
through
of this
that process.
local level. Like, can we get some of that
Yeah,
energy on this local level?
yeah. You gotta work through the
You
process,
gonna have to
and
work together regardless.
you
Like,
gotta do it. And
uh,
I'll just use an issue that's really been on my spirit, because
All right.
I will talk about it a little later on what my priorities are this upcoming session for 2023. But when you walk in classrooms, I'm out in the community a lot, and I'll give my social media information so people can just really follow and see what we do. But I spend a lot of time in classrooms. I spend a lot of time talking to people in the community. And when I tell you, I can't look at people in our community that need help, people that are counting on their elected officials to fight for them, and bring back results. Not fight, but fight and win.
Mm.
You know, we don't need you to fight and get beat up. We need you to fight and win.
Mm.
These are people that are counting on us to fight and win. If we don't take anything else from tonight, fight and win.
Mm.
That's what I think about. And when I'm going to Jefferson City, I'm looking at it just like a professional athlete getting ready to prepare for a game. The whole week we're in practice. We're doing everything we can to execute and understand the assignment, and then we got to show up on game day and win. And that's what every elected official should be doing for their community, good or bad. But that's how I look at the job. I take it so serious, and it's so easy to give up, but it's extremely hard to wake up every day and do hard things and fight for your community and help people, even if they may not always understand how you helping them. But
Yeah.
knowing that you're getting up every day and you fighting to bring resources back to your community. And I'm sure we'll talk about the resources that I brought back to our region. But yeah, I think about our community. I think about my mama who had to work with people she didn't like to make sure we had food on our table.
Oof, the ego. That's interesting that you spoke upon that. I want to ask one question and then let us move on. But how do we encourage? So as an elected official who knows what it's like being up there fighting amongst, not fighting. Yeah, you said fight. You said fight and win. Being amongst the fighting and win energy, but knowing that you do need more folks so it won't be so much. Well, it seems like it's a fight anyway, but so it wouldn't be so much of a fight on the local level. It's a fight when you have people that's kind of on the same page in your same Democratic Party. Like, how can we encourage more people to want to be in this space and run and be elected to come up there and help you continue the fight? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And um, I'm fortunate to be in a position where, um, you know, I didn't I didn't come from a political family. I didn't run for office because um, I wanted to promote myself. I ran for office because I found myself complaining all the time and wanting to understand how government worked for me and how government worked for my neighbors and my friends and my community. And that encouraged me and that drove me to want to be at the table, and there's other people that feel that same way. What we have to do is two things. We have to make sure that policy, advocacy, permanent interests of our community is mutually exclusive to politics. And what happens is sometimes people get so consumed in the politics that they don't realize that they've been elected to serve. And one thing that I refuse to do is show up in front of my constituents or people in the community and just give them a bunch of word soup. And that's what happened. When I decided to run, I remember bringing my mom and my family, and we went to a town hall, y'all. You can't make this up. We went to a town hall, and I told my family and my now chief of staff, I said, "Yo, listen to them. Listen to this particular person. I'm not going to say no names. I ain't going to get messy. But listen to this particular person because it was a good person. They just wasn't effective." And I said, listen to this person. And if you feel this person is speaking to your issues, or you understand what they're doing and you feel like they're working, I won't run. We all left out of there. They was like, you need to run. And my point in saying that is that as elected officials, as a community, we've allowed people at the federal level, at the local level, at the state level to say anything and get away with it.
No accountability.
Not
Mm.
at all. Because again, we talk about this all the time.
Yes, we
I say
do.
this to community when people say, "Well, my vote don't count." No, pause. Your vote is everything. It's your power. And at the end of the day, these elected officials, if you're not voting, then they ain't gonna check for you.
Yeah, but check this. Think about this. Ferguson became the epicenter for the world around what happens when a community and a police department breaks down. The world saw it.
The world
What
saw it.
happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd, the world saw a black man murdered by law enforcement. And other countless hate crimes have happened all over our country, right? People have become rich. People have become celebrities. People have become Twitter famous, Instagram famous, social media stars. People have wrote books. People have done all this stuff since the death of Michael Brown. But until I sponsored and passed this particular legislation, this is the first time, and it's documented, first time that there has been anything done to address police accountability in our state since the death of Michael Brown. Think about how many people that came in front of congregations and different people talking about they fighting for us, but nothing has been done to address the issue and change the law until we pass that legislation in 2021. That's a fact. And I'm not trying to promote myself. I'm telling you that at some point as a community, we got to look back and say, what have you done for me? We hear you, but where are the receipts?
Facts.
Where are the
And I think
receipts?
it's down to the
Because
sustainability too. Policy ultimately means sustainability.
for sure.
If you put in something in place in the policy, that means in the bill, that means it's law. That means it's sustainable. That means
For
people
sure.
got to go through a process to take it away. So it's like you definitely have that sustainability in that. And I think that's what we need people to understand as well. Is like when you're talking about policy changing and laws and things, this is where the more sustainability comes, so we can get the more of generational relief. We'll start to see like the change in it, in a sustainable change. So
Yeah, and I understand the frustration of the community because it's too many people that have utilized and used the shortcomings of our community to ultimately promote themselves. And you know, the reality of it is that there's no reward, like Drake say, it ain't no trophy for doing your job.
That
And
part.
people want you to straight up reward them for doing their job.
what you supposed
Like,
to do?
I don't, if I'm not
That's what
getting
you
no
signed up
award
for,
for it,
sis.
I don't want
Like you literally know what you was running for. Like what
if I
you
don't get no trophy for it, I don't want to do it.
Right.
So if you're not gonna promote me, and the thing about it is that
Oh Lord.
I'm not gonna go and beg the media to do their job. And guess what? For us to get that bill done, it required the governor signing it. And let's just put some common sense around this. If I walk into y'all studio and I start flipping over chairs and flipping over tables and making a scene, y'all not gonna have me on here no more. I'm done.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Yeah.
Ain't y'all gonna talk bad about me on live on air about how ridiculous I am. So what make people think that their elected official could walk in a room, be unprofessional, curse people out, and then them people still gonna help them, help
That's
you?
real. That's real.
That makes
Like, think about this. Like,
That's
this is a real job. This is
Yeah.
a real workplace.
Right.
Like, name one job that's not like Ultimate Fighting or WWE or what do you call it? Like whatever Conor McGregor and them do. What or boxing? Like what profession can you punch somebody in the face and they help you? Or you still win?
Yeah, it don't work like that.
It don't work like that. So
No,
guess what you got to do? You got to do like all our ancestors that all these people say they want to be like. W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Shirley Chisholm.
Malcolm said any means necessary now.
Whatever you want to.
But for real, to his point, it's like
Shirley Chisholm.
End of the
All
day,
all of our ancestors,
we have
and the
to
list
work
goes on, that
Yeah.
has fought for us. You think these people walked in a room and didn't know what they was talking about, or walked in a room and didn't have a plan
Ooh, that part.
The
A
P word.
plan.
The P word.
A plan. Come on,
Didn't have a
son.
plan.
The P
A
word.
And I
plan.
tell people all the time,
A
they say, well, what do you think about this, this party, or what do you think about that person? I tell them, I don't think about them. I think about my community.
Mm.
And I tell people all the time, there's no permanent friends. There's no permanent enemies.
Mhm.
There's no permanent politics, just
Yep.
permanent interest.
Facts.
And I can tell you,
I'm learning that one.
That's real.
yo, you can have somebody who can check all the boxes and they could care less about your community.
Hmm.
And I'm just being real about it. And until we as a people stop getting caught up in the litmus tests and the personalities and say, yo, what have you done for me? I want to see it.
Mm.
Look,
You
you
want the
know,
receipts?
let me
Yeah,
see the
The
receipts.
receipts.
but that's legit because if
That
I
is legit.
at my job, at any person, anybody
Yeah,
that
you
on
fired.
my job, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you out of here. And we
You
at will
gone.
state too. So
Look,
deuces. Uh
everybody at work got a 90-day and a everyday
Yes.
performance evaluation.
yeah,
Yep.
if you don't
And
do
if
your
you don't
job,
deliver, you out.
deuces. It's
You out.
out.
Yeah.
So speaking of your job, we know what you've done for the people lately. However, we have, a session happening starting next month in
Yeah,
Jefferson City. So and it's funny again, unfortunately, I know our first show actually happened um right after the unfortunate shooting at Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. That was our first show, Van. I remember
yeah,
now.
Yep.
And I know since then, I know in the city of St. Louis with the Board of Aldermen meetings, they've had quite a few conversations really thinking about how can we truly address gun violence in our
hmm
city and in the broader region. Like this is a huge issue. It's been an ongoing issue. And unfortunately, lives were lost at Central Visual Performing Arts High School as a result of the challenges when it comes to locally our police officers and our elected officials. There are restraints when it comes to gun laws at the state level. So I kind of wanted you to speak to some of that. I know you've pre-filed a bill kind of looking to address that. So can you kind of share some information about that for folks? Because I know this is a really important topic for folks in the community.
yeah, absolutely. So, first, I forever extend my thoughts and my prayers to the family of those that were impacted. Um, one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do was call um, Jamie, the mother of Alexandria Bell, and that was probably one of the hardest things and most difficult things I've ever had to do. And basically, how that came about was they were family friends of family members of mine, and I called Alexandria's mom, and I mean, when I tell you the woman was so just graceful and just clearly, I couldn't imagine trying to deal with and work through something like that. And no parent ever really think about the fact of their kid or their child going before they did. So, one, my condolences still go out and thoughts are with those families, and clearly um, anyone else involved. Miss Kushka was her name, I believe, as well. And then clearly, I've been in conversations with superintendent at the time, now former Kelvin Adams, about things that we can do at the state level to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So I filed a Senate Bill 254, which is reinstating Missouri's conceal and carry permit law for firearms. So Missouri repealed the permit requirement during the 2016 legislative session that was prior to me getting there. But as a result, people with concealed weapons are no longer required to have any training or notify local law enforcement of their intent to carry a gun. So we'll be working on that. Clearly, we've already started talking with various groups on what our intentions are. We've seen a 40% increase in homicides in the city of St. Louis since the state has repealed the permit requirement for a firearm. So that'll be a primary priority for us as well, pertaining to what happened at Central Visual Performing Arts High School. And then again, as I stated to folks, what happened that day is not mutually exclusive to the Second Amendment. Um, we have to do everything that we can to try to create a safe environment for our children. And, you know, when you think about how that went down, it's so many things that we need to address with it. We'll be working to provide additional funding and as much funding as we possibly can towards mental health services. We'll be looking at how do we ensure that we don't have to look at another child's face and know that we're not doing everything we can to protect them and keep them safe. And I know it's not going to eradicate every level of gun violence and violence in our community, but it is a good start. It's allowing us to have a check and balance system to where we know who should have a firearm and who shouldn't. Because as of today, you can walk down the street with an AR-15 or an assault rifle, and law enforcement cannot do anything about it.
Yes, I see them all the time at the gas.
Yeah, I mean, cats just carrying guns around
Like
like
we
it's a
in the
pair
war
of
zone.
Jordans.
Which,
With this
like to them, they probably do feel like they in a war zone though. But I mean, it's like, dude, we is not.
it's scary out here. It's
What
really
enemy?
scary out
What
here.
op you got that you gotta rock that? Like what
It's
op you got?
scary out here.
Look, I've gotten death threats from people for things that I've been advocating for our community, and I still don't feel a need to walk around carrying an assault rifle.
Not that.
And
Oh
you
Lord.
know, I'm interested to know whatever we need to do to ensure that, in particular, young Black men in our community get what they need.
Yeah.
And I hope we get to talk about some of the economic development things that we've been doing, hopefully to counter that.
Please do.
And and the whole reason for the criminal justice reform bill was to allow people in our community who may have had a felony charge on their record to right that wrong and ultimately be model citizens and go into the workforce and earn a quality wage and be able to support themselves and their families and not have to get involved in street activity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's the ultimate thing too, is like once and I'm speaking from being, around and amongst a lot of people who have had those issues, is
Mm-hmm.
that when they come home, they don't have anything to go to that's going to be beneficial for them. So they ended up going back to what was, accessible. So I think that's a great start, is making sure that when people do get out of those situations, they have something where they can come and thrive, you know?
Yeah, that's an opportunity that we're looking at, and I love to have him come on your show. Bobby Bostic is a gentleman that I met about 5 years ago. I went to visit him in Jefferson City Correctional Facility. This was before I was elected to the Missouri Senate, and Bobby was sent to prison as a juvenile at the age of 16. Judge Evelyn Baker, who was a great friend of mine, who actually went and advocated for Bobby as well after the fact. She sentenced Bobby as a juvenile to 241 years for a attempted robbery where no one got killed, no one was injured, and he wasn't eligible for parole until he was 111. Bobby's 43 now. And we had that criminal justice bill that we passed, we ultimately changed the law in terms of when people are eligible for parole. And that allowed Bobby to be eligible for parole. And a month ago, he was a free man. And right now, Bobby is free. He's living here in St. Louis. And he's actually advocating for men in prison to, one, do everything that he did. He not only did he educate himself, he got a college degree and he's working on a master's degree. And he has written 6 books. And those books are talking about not only why it's important to do the right thing as a free person. But if you ever end up in prison, to not allow your current situation to dictate your mentality and figure out how to keep a positive mentality and work your way out of that situation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
real. And I mean, again, opportunities. I feel like once you feel that you have opportunities available to you, it completely changes the game.
Mhm.
So I
And
appreciate you sharing that story.
in
Um,
the mental health, I hope you make sure he gets the mental health, you know, services and stuff too, because that's a traumatic experience.
huge. Yeah.
That's really huge, you know. So I've again talked to people who've been incarcerated and they talked about coming out and the big
Mhm.
transition of being out and what that feels like for them. So
Yeah, and even people that's never been to prison. I serve on the board for a community health center called People's Health Center,
mhm.
and one of the things I did as a board director was work with elected officials as a non-elected official to get $2 million towards behavior health services, which led to us building a behavior health center for children right at Del Mar and de Bolivar, the
Hmm.
first of its kind ever in the city of St. Louis, to start working with young people to go in a culturally competent facility that does not feel like a psychiatric ward and get services to address behavioral health and ultimately not become the adults that have mental health issues. Clearly, we know about the social determinants and all of those things that ultimately lead to people either going into the criminal justice system or, like our brother Twitch just did, he committed suicide.
So, say, Senator, I know you've provided plenty of receipts as far as some of the work that you have and resources that you are fighting and winning to bring back to our communities. Um, I don't know. Do you have anything else that you want to share as far as other priorities, other things you might be cooking and have shaken up for this upcoming session?
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff that's happening. For those who may not be familiar with this process, when our country went through the pandemic, as y'all know, that really just wiped out the Black community. I mean, we never really had quite the access that we needed, but the pandemic really revealed our country and our communities of its shortcomings. And we saw that people didn't really have access to quality healthcare. We saw that people didn't have um, economic opportunities. We saw that majority of our communities was in the middle of a food desert, and we were able to work through a record surplus. Our state got $7 billion, and we were able to. My office appropriated
Wait, I'm sorry.
98.
Can you repeat that? How much does it say?
7 billion
That's a with a B.
with a
7 billion
B.
with a B.
Yeah,
Billion,
I just
billion,
yeah,
wanted people to get
billion,
that number again.
billion.
billion. Yeah,
Lord,
yeah,
billions,
for
billions of
sure.
dollars.
And we were able to um, get $98 million for North St. Louis County. And some of the projects that we're working through the implementation to do a couple things. One is a $40 million investment that's going towards UMSL South Campus. We're going to consolidate that campus. The Natural Bridge Corridor is minutes away from North St. Louis City, minutes away from downtown, airport. And if you drive down that Natural Bridge Corridor about UMSL and Normandy, there's no grocery store. There's no patient healthcare facility. There's no affordable housing. So we're working to make sure that campus is getting the resources it needs.
So seems like you've been busy, and now you planning to be even more busier.
Oh, and we demolishing Jamestown Mall.
Yeah, shout out to that.
Yeah,
Is there
that
any plans on what to put in that space at all that you can give us? Like
Those
maybe.
people, anybody that live in North County, that's a project that's being led by Councilwoman Shalonda Webb.
Hmm.
She's tremendous. She'll be listening to the community about things that they want to see at Jamestown Mall. We got involved in it because I just got tired of driving past it and saying an eyesore in our community. my mom and my grandmother live in that part of North County, and I remember when it was a thriving mall, but now it's become this just desolate eyesore. So we just got the money to do the demolition, and then we're going to listen to the community and see what they want to replace it with.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys are engaging with the community. Shout out to Shalonda Webb.
Yeah, shout out to Councilwoman Webb.
Yeah.
I have one last question, and then we're gonna kind of wrap it up. But you knew I was gonna ask you this question, and we talked about this, say, Center. I feel like maybe it was earlier this year, because everybody complaining, our roads and everything else is all jacked up here. So I kind of wanted to ask you about some any coins when it comes to building up and improving our infrastructure. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, first, let's make sure everybody understand what infrastructure is, because I didn't always know what infrastructure meant. So, infrastructure can be dealing with things like our roads, potholes. If you riding on your nice car and you hit a pothole and get a flat tire, that's infrastructure issues. So, if you don't like potholes, then you want money going towards infrastructure. Yes, we're looking at doing a couple things. Clearly, providing funding towards our roads. We also have to think about it that the roads and the bridges are in terrible conditions in outstate Missouri as well. So clearly, the rural parts of the state. Then we'll be looking at opportunities. Clearly, the 270 I-270 development has been one that we invested in, which is near completion, which go through a good portion of North St. Louis County. And then we'll be looking at opportunities to get funding to address additional roads and bridges in our region. And then we're also looking at money to ensure that people in North County and North St. Louis City have access to broadband. And for those that don't know what broadband means, that's basically the internet.
All right, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it here. So it's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming.
Be engaged so you can
Like prime time say, we coming.
Right.
help allocate what it should like.
We bringing our bags and they Louis.
Hey, Louis.
Right. So I don't know, Vanna, I didn't have any other questions for the state center. I did want to give him a couple minutes if he, any takeaways, anything that we need to be aware of. He can also share his contact information.
I was about to say maybe let people know how they can
contact him. So yeah, close it out. Well, not the whole show, but
yeah, well, yeah, I will say this one. Thank y'all for having me on, and I encourage people definitely during this time of the season, stay safe, because we've seen that the numbers with flu and COVID-19 going up. I'm dealing with allergies over here right now, so I'm over here sneezing and coughing, so I need to go and make sure I'm straight. But make sure y'all keep that in mind as y'all get ready to prepare to go around family and everything for the holidays. In terms of me, I'm really easy to find. I really encourage people to go to my website, SenatorBrianWilliams.com. That's Senator BrianWilliams.com. Clearly, I'm on Facebook, Brian Williams. I'm on Instagram, B Williams MO. That MO is from Missouri. Same thing on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. So just please reach out, check out what we're doing. We have a really cool interactive website that you can click on different parts of the district and see what we're doing, follow different legislation and stuff real time. And then other than that, clearly just call my office if you don't use any of those things. That's 573-751-4106. But just stay plugged in, understand that we in this fight together, and make sure you hold your elected officials accountable. Make sure that they going to work and they fighting for you, but they also win.
Thank you. Thank you again for joining us.
Yes.
This Monday night. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you are here with us.
No, it's my pleasure, and y'all keep doing what y'all doing, getting information to the community, and I just hope your listeners really understand that government has a significant impact on our lives. So please make sure that you participate in the process. knowing what's happening around you. Make sure you get out and vote. Make sure you know who you voting for. And if you're not sure about something, talk to trusted sources. And clearly, Monday Night Live is one source that you can use to not only get information on things that's happening around you, but also get information about the people that's supposed to be supporting communities that you live in.
Yes. And shout out to Cassandra Butler. I see you repping Ferguson. She's
Yeah, I love Cassandra.
Thank you, Cassandra.
I ain't seen her in a minute, so she tell her she need to stop being a stranger.
So thank you, Say Center. Y'all got all his deets, and after our show, I'll be sure to provide his contact information, so folks can definitely be sure to get in contact with him and say
yeah, and anybody listening, do me one favor when you reach out to me, call me Brian.
You heard it, y'all heard it. So before we close, I did have an announcement to make, but Vanna, did you want to share any bright spots or special announcements? Because I'm excited. I have a big announcement to share, but
I'll say, yeah, go ahead. No, I'm good. Just excited for 2023. Just can't wait to like really get into the groove, y'all. Definitely what he said is important. Stay engaged on all levels of government because it's important. It's what is going to impact our day-to-day. 2023 got so many different types of elections coming up. So I just wish you all get involved as much as you possibly can. And stay tuned. Stay tapping in. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Shout out to 2023.
Shout out to 2023 and congratulations, Shavannah, like on your anniversary of your platform.
Shout out to
that Saturday. That's huge.
It's been season 3. We gonna continue doing the work, man, as much as we possibly can. We out here. Shout out to the Hood Talks podcast and
shout out to the Hood Talks podcast.
Yes, shout out.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited. Shout out to you. Come on now, drop the gems.
Oh, all right, y'all. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
So, people out there know I've been rolling solo dolo for a minute under no real organizational affiliation for a minute. And so I am proud to announce that officially I will be doing the work through Transform 314. Yes, let's get it. So the mission of Transform 314 is to educate, engage, and empower Black St. Louisans to drive the policy changes needed at the local level to make sure our communities thrive. So we have a lot of awesome and exciting things in the works. We'll be out in these streets doing some in-person programming. We'll be continuing our Monday Night Live shows as well. I'm really excited because y'all, we got some stuff planned for 2023 with Monday Night Live. It's gonna be real live. It's gonna be real live.
2023 is gonna be lit.
And also Ferguson, Transform 314. We will be having programming. Shout out to Ferguson.
Yes, Cassandra, we're coming for you.
Right, facts. And I also have to shout out, we do have programming scheduled for the Julia Davis Library on Natural Bridge. That was probably my that was the library I went to actually to get my work done when I was in high school. So shout out to the North Side always, and we're working to do some things on in South City too. It's a lot of important elections coming up, y'all. It's a lot of stuff going on. So we'll be out here. Hopefully, Vanna, she'll entertain my foolery. And we'll be part of some of these programs and efforts as well. So
ain't changing stuff, but definitely need it because we definitely got to be engaged, y'all. So, and we got to keep knowing what's going on. Yes. So, shout out to Transform 314. St. Louis definitely needs the space. So
but shout out to everyone that joined the show. I see some of the comments again. Yes. Shout out. I see you, Mr. Donica. Okay.
Oh, that's who that is. I'm like, Donna. Okay, Donna. Okay, I get it.
Look at it. I see you. But yeah, so y'all, this is our last show for the year. We will be back January 9th.
And we'll be back earlier.
Yes, and at 7 instead of 8 because
Yes.
we ain't spring chickens over here. And
I'm
then
gonna say this mommy is like be killing
yeah,
it at 8 o'clock.
yeah. Shout out to mama over there. So we will have our
7
show
o'clock.
starting at 7 instead of 8.
7 o'clock.
So 7 o'clock, and January 9th, like I said, we're taking a break for the holidays and everything. Hopefully everyone out there has a safe holiday.
Yes, be safe, please.
Yes,
We want to see y'all in 2023.
yes,
Got a
because
couple of more weeks.
yeah. So rest up, y'all, because when January hit, hey,
It's
we got to hit the ground running because there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna have to roll up our sleeves on and get this work in. So
Yes,
um,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Whew,
All right. This was a great show.
Shout out to Senator Brian Williams. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. It was great. I mean, he came and brought the fire.
Yeah, he wasn't playing around.
He wasn't.
He dropped a whole bunch of. He dropped a whole.
2023. That's what we going. What have you done for me? Yes, I'm with it.
Tell you and show the receipts.
Show the receipts. I'm with that energy. What have you done for me? Come on now.
2023. What have you done for me?
What have you done for me, lady?
Hello. But yeah, so that's it, y'all. Be safe out there. Happy holidays. And you will see us in the new year. So take care, y'all.